Dan Friday night, how close do you think you're as prepared as you could be, or is there quite a few things to work out?
No, we're as prepared as we could be, but we won't be perfect. You know what I mean? You can't focus on everything. You've got to prioritise, and we've certainly prioritised a couple of things that we thought would be really important for round one, and we'll go out there and hopefully make a good account of ourselves.
Joey Swaley, already a lot of talk that he'll play fullback. What do you get out of a Swaley who plays fullback as opposed to midfield?
Well, if he's in the backfield, he's can see the game, can scan, see opportunities that present, can float in and out of the game. But whether he plays 15 or not, we'll decide that over the next couple of days. Training a couple of positions today, so. We're just looking to have him involved in the game, aren't we? Like, it's really, we're not playing under 8s where it's just give it to Joseph, but he's a point of difference player that we want to have in the game. You know, he's got a number of different strengths, and we look to build a game around making sure that he gets access to use those.
And how that sort of knee issue 10 days ago, he's back full training, is that correct to say?
Full training.
Jake Gordon, is that the same situation with his back?
Yeah, Jake's trained, yeah, so they've both been training since went on camp, obviously, after the Brumbies trial, trained Wednesday, Thursday, both trained, so.
Can you speak on that camp and just how you just got to go about building that sort of connection piece with these sort of groups as sort of different players come back, whether it's those Wallabies and those initial group?
Yeah, connection's massively important for me. I'm a big believer that if you know each other well and you've got those strong relationships and strong bonds between each other that can go a long way towards winning games. You know, in the last couple of minutes, if you've got to defend your line and if you care about the jersey and you care about the people that you're playing with and the people that are helping guide the program, then you'll go that extra yard. You know, so we didn't have a rugby ball on camp. We didn't play any rugby. We just played a whole lot of cricket. We cooked food around the campfire, and the Polynesian boys took charge there and produced some beautiful food for us all to eat, and swam in the river and just had a good couple of days. And then when we got back last week, we had a really nice event with the families as well. You know, so making sure that they feel a part of the journey that we're about to embark on.
Dan, you've had one pre-season game against the Brumbies with, I suppose, your almost full strength team. Do you feel a bit undercooked going into round one? Could you have done with maybe another game before?
No, I'm not a big believer in playing a huge amount of trials. You know, it's a new group. We'll build cohesion as the games tick by. But playing 3 or 4 trials, you just can't do it in the schedule that we've got. We've got our returning players back on January 13. So to throw 3 or 4 trial games in just wasn't realistic or wasn't an option for us. So that's what we've worked hard on the training field, and training's not a game, but it's as close as we can get to it, and hopefully we see transfer on Friday.
Do you feel a bit more expectation or pressure? You do have a bit of a star-studded lineup here. I know you also identified you'd lost some talent as well, but does that add to the expectations for you as a coach to deliver early?
No, I think I've said it many times. Like I'll put pressure on myself and on the staff, and we'll take the pressure off the players. You know, so we've all heard it before, haven't we? Around groups of individuals, and doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have a great team. So how quickly we can gel into a really good team is on us as coaches to make sure that we prioritise and prepare them as best as we can.
So in terms of the question, I suppose you don't want to go near, but we've got to answer. Ronan O'Gara obviously came out very openly, said he's contracted to La Rochelle, but he's keen to take on the Wallabies job. Phil Waugh says he has identified candidates and he's looking to make a decision as soon as possible. Have you been one of those candidates that have been identified?
I've got no idea, mate. I don't know. Like, I've answered the question 100 times. You know, I was in Leicester and I'd go to every press conference and I'd get asked about the Wallaby job, and it was a distraction. I can assure you I'm not going to be distracted the second time around. I've answered that question and we crack on with it. I want to beat the Highlanders on Friday night, and nothing will get in my road in terms of doing that.
How, there's a dream job though, right? 2027, and let's scroll back. What was the reaction when Joe did actually say, you know what, I'm going to leave after the rugby championship?
Honestly, Christy, there was no reaction from me. I'm besides disappointment, to be honest, because he's a good man. I've had quite a lot of dealings with him. A lot of it was over the phone, obviously, for 12 months, but and that stability. But he's got his family situation that he's spoken about, and I fully respect and understand that. And someone's going to get an opportunity to lead Australia to the World Cup in 2027, and I'm sure I'll embrace that and love that. But fellas, I'm just here to talk about the Waratahs.
You've dead batted it all. What have you learned about not looking beyond the current job that you're in?
Yeah. Well, look, I don't think I spent a whole lot of time focusing on it over there either, but it was a distraction, and that's you just can't in this environment, professional high performance environment, you cannot allow yourself to be distracted. And as I said, I'm not going to allow that to occur again.
Well, and like it or not, the first month of Super Rugby could be interesting in the grand scheme of things, but also a Waratahs season. Like, is it always dumbing down the game plan to ensure you get wins, and also just build some momentum with the Waratahs faithful, which the last couple of years has been dropping off?
Yeah, it's exactly that. Like what wins games in round 1 doesn't necessarily win you a game in round 10. You know what I mean? Like when I talk about that cohesion and that's been built, so it's certainly very different. And we'll go out there with the mindset and the intent to play some rugby, but we'll have a really clear plan around how we're going to go about that and how we get best opportunity to do that. So, but round 1 and the early rounds of Super Rugby or any professional competition are certainly a little bit different to later on in the season.
Dan, are you taking any lessons? I mean, I know you weren't involved, obviously, but you keep a close eye on things. Last year, different team, obviously, but are you taking any lessons just in terms of how some of the team adapted?
No, not a whole lot. I mean, it was a tough year for them last year, and I got a whole lot of respect for DC and Jason Gilmore and Wicks and the boys that were coaching. And watching as a fan from afar, you really felt for them with the injury issues that they had to deal with and that sort of thing. So I wasn't involved or part of that environment. All I'm here to do with my coaching group and the players is to put them in a position every day to get better. And if we just focus on that from one day to the next, and ideally we'll get ourselves off the bottom of the ladder. Like that's the goal. And we've got 4 of our first 5 at home and build some momentum and see how we go from there.
What about the Highlanders? I think I'm right in saying the Crusaders, obviously strong team. Last year, I think round 3, there was a last minute opportunity. How do you assess them this year in terms of the opposition you're playing?
Yeah, coached against Jamie Joseph a number of times. I actually think my first game coaching the Brumbies, Jamie was the opposition coach for the Sunwolves. So they'll be tough, they'll be physical. They'll put pressure on our breakdown. They've got individual threats that you'll need to deal with and handle. So it's I expect that traditional Highlanders physical, defensively physical at set piece, but with threats that can hurt you with the ball.
One of those threats being Ethan the Group, particularly in that front row. That matchup with Taniela, how do you sort of see that playing out? And then secondly, Taniela was here on Thursday and talked about you sort of being one of the big reasons why he came. Like, how do you think you can get the best out of Taniela, or have you found is the best way to get Taniela out his firing?
And just got to coach him and challenge him and ensure that he's working hard to get the best out of himself every day. And then at the same point in time, making sure that he knows that you've got his back and that you care for the bloke. So that's my approach. He's been superb, honestly, over the last few weeks. His attitude to wanting to do extras and get himself in the best shape that he can be in. I couldn't speak highly enough of Nella, and he's front rowers. He's a big man. It takes a couple of games to get back into the swing of things, but if he's selected, I know he'll be excited to do a good job for us on Friday night.
Check's team, kind of, when he came in, he kind of had a fan for him and tried to, change the ethos of what Waratahs represented in a playing style as well, and that probably continued recently. Do you think that under you there might be a little bit of a different, a bit more of a pragmatic type 5 approach that maybe fans haven't seen for a while?
Look, you play to the strengths of your group, you know, so we're not going to be playing 10-man rugby where your Jorgensons, your Sawalis, your Callaways, your Fakettis, these boys don't see the ball by any means. So you play to the strengths of your group. I'm a big believer that in any rugby team or in any rugby union game, you need to have a good set piece and you need to be physical around the collision area. So we'll certainly prioritise that. If I was coaching Souths in Brisbane, I'd be no different, you know what I mean? So we'll certainly focus on those areas, but also understand that we've got a decent amount of strike that we need to get the ball to and play a style of rugby that really resonates with the community and the history here. But yeah, what I believe in and what I think are really key principles or the fundamentals of the game, we'll go hard at.
I apologise if it's already been asked earlier. Joe swallowed his knee. Is that he's good to go?
Very good. Yeah, no, very good. He's trained Wednesday, Thursday last week and trained yesterday and today for us. Yeah, he's fit and available if selected.
Obviously, we saw what he can do in the national setup already, but this has been the first chance he's had a run against back in rugby. Like, what have you seen with him in his development just in the time that you've been in?
Yeah, I've said it a number of times, his work ethic, professionalism, wants to compete hard, wants to learn the game and wants to be the best rugby player that he can be. So he shows that every day. He's a good example for others as well, drags others along with him. So he's been a good addition, there's no doubt.
What do you find with this group? We saw the boys that were in Thunder and Lightning still doing the kicks, Joseph generally the last to leave the field. How do you help them find that balance? Because a lot of them, they really, they go really hard. How do you find that balance as a coach?
I don't think they need to find the balance there on the training days. It's good to look out, isn't it, and see, like the boys kicking goals and chipping away at their craft. That's what they should be doing. They're professionals. Tomorrow's a day off. Get away. Get to the beach, maybe not in these conditions, but catch up with family and that sort of thing. We did that on the weekend, or our weekend to Friday and Saturday, so that's where you need to get the balance. But when we come to work, we come to work.
Defensively, you guys were opened up a bit against the runners in the trial. Has that been the major work on in the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, you've got to be strong defensively. There was, we conceded 6 tries, and there were some things there that we learnt from that game, and first time defending in that system for a number of boys, so it's an area that we need to tighten up.
Thank you so much.
Cheers, fellas.